being a nice guy, it may come off as being, hey, I'm doing a great thing. I'm really nice. Girls just misunderstand me, or they don't like me, or it's just a blame mentality. And it took me a long time to realize that there are things I have to fix about myself and improve about myself that make me an attractive man, both to others and myself, because I hated myself.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. I hope you guys have had a great New Year's celebration. I hope you guys, got home safe. None of you guys gotten into anything serious. not to too many bar fights. Let's see here. Before I go too much further, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. Also, please drop a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, please drop a comment. Any comment will do. Your favorite emoji, I don't care. It doesn't really matter. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media platforms. I'm I'm either Come On Man Pod or I'm Come On Man Podcast. Just look for one of the two on whatever your platform is that you like to be on. I'm trying to get more people to follow me on Instagram, though. My biggest following was on TikTok, but I'm under a crushing shadow ban with those assholes. So follow me pretty much anywhere else, but try to follow me on Instagram. I think Instagram's a much better platform anyway. I want to give a shout out to the Patreon, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. It is January. So that means there's only 3 tiers available now. The lowest tier is only $10 a month. If you just want to support the show, keep having new episodes so that, we can get out in front of more men, then it's only $10 a month. That's tier 1. You get on the beer club credits on YouTube. So at the end of each episode on YouTube, on Monday's episodes, I have a list of guys that are in the beer club. So those guys are in tier 1 and they're supporting the show. And if you want to get on that list, join the Patreon. It's only $10 a month. There's a second tier. Tier 2 is unlimited tech support for me, right? But it's not just tech support, because this is all over Telegram. And Telegram, if you're not familiar with it, is like text messaging on steroids, right? You can send video messages on there. You can send voice messages on there. There's lots of cool like animated GIFs and crap like that you can send on there. It's a pretty versatile platform. You can have you can even do like video calls on it, right? So tier 2, it's only $50 a month, but you get unlimited tech support, but you also get unlimited voice and video messages too. So if if you're more comfortable just sending an audio message, just get on that, and I reply back pretty quickly with that as well. If you're on a dating app, right, and some chick sends you something that has you scratching your head and you don't know what to say, just send a screenshot of it to me on Telegram and I'll get back to you, man. I'll be like, oh, this is what she's trying to do, man. Say this. And you're going to get laid, brother. And then there's tier 3, which has all the benefits of tier 2, but you also get an additional voice or video call with me every month. So it's like a follow-up call just to check in, see where you're going. And it's up to an hour discussion. So you can talk about whatever you want, what challenges you're facing, whatever. We'll get into all of that. And that's only $100 a month. That's probably one of the most affordable coaching programs you'll find out there. So check it out. Patreon.com/comeonmanpod. If you guys haven't done so already, get on the email list. That's list.comeonmanpod.com. And for your troubles, I will send you these free stickers here. All postage paid. You don't have to pay anything for postage. Just get on the email list. I'll shoot you an email. Reply back with a good mailing list or mailing address. I'm not keeping people's mailing addresses, just their email addresses. So you don't have to worry about me like showing up at your house. That's not happening. And I'm not selling your data to anybody. Really, this is just because last year well, I should say, man, it's January now, isn't it? So in 2021, I got banned from TikTok. And so it's been a struggle trying to rebuild that following on TikTok. And I just don't want that to happen again on any platform. So I want to be able to contact you guys directly. So if you like this content, you like seeing my stuff, daily or every other day or whatever, get on the email list. That way, if something bad happens, I can at least email you and say, hey, I'm on Rumble now or whatever. And I want to give a shout out to Nate Dog 1884. He left a really nice 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. He said, best podcast for men. If you want to level up as a man, this is the podcast for you. Great episodes each and every week, fun and fascinating guests, and Paul always be dropping facts and knowledge. Thanks, Nate Dog, man. Hey, I apologize. You posted this on December 15th, but I had already dropped the last episode with Alan Roger Curry, so I didn't get you in there. So I apologize. But you're in the first episode of the new year of 2023. So Nate Dog, thank you for that 5-star review. If you want me to read your review, go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, find the podcast, and leave a 5-star review and actually write out why you like the show. And in an upcoming episode, I will read what you wrote and give you a shout out for free, for freezies, guys, for freezies. All right. Joining me this week, and this is a really cool story. I thought this would be a really good way to kick off the new year. We have a 3% brother, and this guy, he started following me like back in 2021, back when I was first building up my TikTok account. And this guy was a full-on MGTOW guy, right? This guy had given up on women. He hated them. And, we talk about this in the episode, but he started seeing my videos, started applying some of the things that I talk about, started reading the books that I talk about. And now he not only is dating a great gal and getting regular sex, he's also changed his careers. He used to work in like tech support for Visa, the credit card company. And now he works in sales for one of the biggest coaching outfits on the market today. His name is Jimmy, and his story is pretty fascinating. And guys, let me tell you this. If Jimmy can do it, anybody can fucking do it. Okay. I say it all the time, like MGTOW's for fucking quitters. You guys aren't like, being righteous because you're giving up on the whammon and, the juice ain't worth the squeeze is bullshit. It's a cope. You guys are quitting on yourselves. Right. Well, Jimmy turned that all around, and he's proof positive that you can too. And I will bring you that conversation right after these words. What if I told you you can have anything you want? More money, a bigger house, hotter women. Would you believe me? If your answer is no, you need to ask yourself why you think that way. What's holding you back? I can tell you right now, it's a self-limiting belief that's holding you back. Your paradigm or the way you see the world is holding you back. What if I told you that I can teach you how to change your paradigm? I just finished my course on the practical law of attraction. You may have heard of the law of attraction, but have dismissed it as magical thinking or woo-woo nonsense. Well, it's not. The law of attraction is real, but it's not magic. At the end of the day, it comes down to your mindset. And my course will teach you how to reprogram your mindset so that you can achieve anything that you want in this world. And the first 50 people that use the coupon code in the description will get 15% off. If you want more out of this life, if you want to achieve bigger goals, if you want to achieve goals so big that they will blow your mind, then this is your sign. Sign up for my course at loa.comeonmanpod.com. That's loa.comeonmanpod.com. The law of attraction is nothing without action. So what are you waiting for? Act now. All right, joining me this week is a 3% brother who I first met on TikTok. he was MGTOW when he first started following my videos. Then he started reading some of the books I recommended. He started working on his purpose, and now he works in sales for one of the biggest date coaching outfits on the market today. It's my boy Jimmy. What's going on, brother?
How y'all doing? How you doing, Pat Paul? Nice to see you.
Yeah, man. Dude, this is awesome. This has been a long time coming because you're like actually like a success story, you know?
Yeah.
And before we go further too, I just want to say I like your haircut.
Thanks, man. Thanks. The girl really likes it too. She likes running her hands through it. She's like, I love this. And I'm like, I try to keep it at a perfect length, but you know, we're matching, so.
Yeah. I last year, honestly, I always wear hats, and I don't wear hats because I'm trying to like cover up something. I just like wearing hats, but people were giving me shit for wearing hats. And so then I would do some videos where I took off my hat, and then like people noticed that I really did have like a receding hairline. And and it was, and the funny thing is about the receding hairline is like, I've always had a big forehead, but it's been noticeable since I got into my 40s. Right. And so it was really just, you know, people on TikTok will point out your flaws like more than anybody. And so I just was like, you know what? I really need to just own this shit. And so I like early this year, I just decided, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to shave my head, and I love it.
I wish I could show a couple pictures of me from back in the day, but I back when I was 25, it started here, and then I just kept on growing it out, you know, instead of like doing something about it. And ever since then, I mean, it's been like one of those things when you start working on your fashion and your hygiene that it's not everything. It's not like one little thing you have to fix. It's everything put together that makes you an attractive man, both for yourself and others. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And so, and there's options, right? Like guys can do like the hair transplants. And there's a couple of guys in the 3% man group. Professor Sanderson, he got a hair transplant, and it looks great. I mean, like, I've met a couple of other guys that have gotten that. The only like drawback to stuff like that is, you know, I think for some of those guys, they have to take like Rogaine, you know, and then Rogaine lowers your testosterone, and so for me,
then you're getting on TRT treatment, and then, you know, then it just starts going down here from there, or on that stuff for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Well, you know, and my previous guest, you know, by the time this drops, I think this will be like 2 episodes down or something. But I interviewed this guy named RP Thor, and he's in the manosphere space, and he's on TRT, but he's like in his 60s, totally ripped. He highly recommends TRT, and it's, you know, so it's like, I see the pros and cons of it, but I'd rather just sort of like embrace the inevitability, because even if you get a hair transplant, like 10, 20 years down the road, a lot of guys are in the same boat again. So fuck it. I'm just going to buy, I have an electric razor that I use now.
Really?
And I love it. I use it like every day.
I'm trying to get this little thing straightened out right here. You know, that's one thing I'm still working on.
You got a bald patch right there in the middle?
Yeah, I got a bald patch right there. Nobody's ever mentioned it but myself, but you know.
I know, whatever. Like we're our own worst critics too sometimes.
We are. I mean, it's, you know, what we talk within we're so bad to ourselves. That's one thing I've had to learn over the years, like go easy on yourself, because, you know, you can be your own worst enemy.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that one of the reasons why I really wanted to get you on the show is because you sent me a text the other day. And it was the funniest text too, because it was just a picture of like 2 open condom wrappers. And it was like, you basically broke a 3.5 year poon dry spell.
Yeah.
Which is like, I was like, congrats on the sex, bro. Like, but let's talk about that. Like, what finally got you over the hump? Like, what I would say, like, you know, coming from like where you were at MGTOW and this whole journey, like, what did you find along the way that was really limiting you from getting there?
The first thing, I made a TikTok about this recently. The first thing was the whole nice guy phase.
Hmm.
Being a nice guy, it may come off as being, hey, I'm doing a great thing. I'm really nice. Girls just misunderstand me, or they just, they don't like me, or it's not this whole. It's just a blame mentality. And it took me a long time to realize that there are things I have to fix about myself and improve about myself that make me an attractive man, both to others and myself, because I hated myself.
Hmm.
I was, pretty heavy in the IT field. The company I was working for at the time was completely running my life. And yeah, I went through a number of mental breakdowns to the point where I was just like, wherever I have to go now is up. Because I mean, I hit absolute rock bottom.
Hmm.
So yeah, getting along the lines of, starting to look at myself from a self-development standpoint, stuff I have to improve, getting out of this covert contract. I was a serial covert contract guy where I would multiple girlfriends all across multiple years, or even just multiple girls. I would have this little agreement that if I'm just nice enough, if I'm just their friend long enough, then somehow they'll marry me and everything will be good.
Yeah, they'll
Yeah,
recognize that they're dating jerks, but I'm the nice guy that they're going to finally
yeah,
settle down with. They're not
yeah,
going to want to
yeah,
fuck.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, throughout the past couple of years, I've realized, one, I have been a very, very emotional and submissive guy. So I've had to really kind of get out of that into, no, I have value, I have sexual value, and that value is wanted and desirable by other people, and it should be okay for me too. So going down that stage of, like for instance, getting into the law of attraction too, completely changed my life. You've helped me a lot with that. Thank you that I do attract healthy and hot women. Thank you that every woman I approach, they are happy to speak to me. Thank you that I walk around with that smile on my face. Thank you for relaxed and a healthy body. And I say that I tell you, it's gotten to the point here in the past couple years, if I don't say that to myself out loud every day, I watch my life plummet in less than 24 to 48 hours. And it's the other way too.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, if this 10 minutes I spend in my life is the most important 10 minutes of my day.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up law of attraction because that's actually been on my mind quite a bit lately. I haven't done a lot of videos on it.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of the guys in the space, a lot of the guys in the red pill space look at it like
Yeah.
it's woo woo magical thinking,
Yeah.
it's the positivity grift. But the thing
Yeah.
is, and so I've really been thinking about that, especially with like I talked to Dr. Robert Glover about it, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Glover, have you read Dating Essentials for Men?
I've looked at bits and pieces of it. My big stuff has just been Corey Wayne's material.
Yeah.
Art of Seduction, I believe, was another book I got into, and I've been really heavily concentrating on those two books.
Those are great books. Well, I haven't read
Yeah,
Art of Seduction, but it's on my list, and I hear
yeah,
rave reviews about it.
yeah,
But the thing about Dr. Glover, right, is he's got all these things in his book about having an attitude of gratitude and
yeah,
um, basically a lot of law of attraction books in there, right? Like if you're not
yeah.
grateful for all the things that are good in your life, it doesn't make any sense for the universe to bless you 1,000 times.
Right.
All this stuff, right? But I ask him about it on the podcast, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I don't believe in any of that shit." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Well, he goes, the problem with The Secret is, it's magical thinking, it's this and that." He goes, "But if you do you do get what you focus on in life. If you do say affirmations, it will change your
Yeah,
mindset. It will change your outcome." I'm like, it works. So you're saying it works. And
yeah. Yeah,
I had John Sonmez from Bulldog Mindset on, and he is a law of attraction guy. And when I asked him about it, he didn't say it's magical thinking or whatever. What he said, which I love, is it doesn't matter why it worked, it just fucking works. you
yeah,
know and so
yeah.
really thinking about it lately, I've decided I'm going to make a course on
Mm,
practical law of attraction, where I take the magic out of it, like
Yeah.
the woo woo crystal chakras and shit. Cause it's all,
I love them. I got a bunch of chakras and crystals in the other room, as
Well,
well as essential oils too. I'm crazy.
well, that's fine though. And I'll tell you why it's fine. Have you ever heard of Wayne Dyer?
I have heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So Wayne Dyer was a guy that was teaching this stuff like back in the 70s and 80s. And one of the things that he said was, it's not the crystal, right, that does magic. It's your belief that the crystal does magic. So what it all comes down to is mindset at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if you can reprogram your mind, shit will change for you.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing about it. And people, like, they just hear the word secret and immediately dismiss it and run away. It's like, let's take it back to a practicality level and just apply it. And who cares why it works,
Right.
And go from there. So I'm gonna make a whole course on that. And just
I love that. I'm excited to to consume it. Even though it's been a couple of years since I got involved in it, I'm sure I can benefit from it. I'm sure your viewers can too.
Yeah, it's not out yet. I'm in the process of like writing it up, and I also bought a couple of other dudes' courses just to see like how they do it, because I've never made a course. So I'm like, you know what? I like these guys. I like their content. I'm going to buy their course.
Yeah.
And see how they do it,
Yeah.
I'm not stealing their shit. I'm going to do it all, my own thing, but I want to just see how they lay it out,
Yeah. Yeah. That's, was that competitive research? They teach us all about that in sales.
It's also, it's also sort of like a mentorship thing, right? Like find someone who's doing it and then follow the process. Right. So that's all it is.
Yeah.
So, so I mentioned at the beginning here that you're a 3% brother. You talked about Corey Wayne. How many times have you read How to Be a 3% Man?
14.
You're almost at that magic 15.
Corey
sent you a diploma when.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for the thank you for buying the book, but that's okay.
I have a 3% club mug, but I had to buy that shit myself. Yeah.
Oh man. I wish he did have a little process in there that when you read it 15 times, you pass a little test, you get your mug.
You get a placard that says you're actually a 3% man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, would you say that Corey's book was probably your biggest influence on your transformation, or would you credit like another source?
As far as my recent transformation, I would have to say Modern Flirting. Okay. But the step towards that process, first being MGTOW, just getting to the point where I was super angry with women. I got to the point where when I asked for girls' phone numbers, I had a business card. And when you get to that point when you're giving out business cards to girls, you just know that you're almost at rock bottom.
Chicks aren't going to call you back.
No,
they're just not.
Yeah. But Corey really helped me get out of the whole I'm angry with women, and I wasn't giving up, but my expectations were so high, and I was also so unhealthy as a person. I had a lot of childhood trauma that I needed to deal with, I had a tendency to overreact, to become really, really needy, Corey and his and his initial, if you text a girl once and she doesn't text you back, don't text her again. Mm-hmm. Okay, we live in a day and age where we all got watches. We can see when somebody texts us, and doing that, as well as being very careful with emojis, maneuvering your text in such a way where you're the prize, as well as you are a strong, confident man. Rather say, do you want to go out? Do you want to go out on a date with me?
What do you want to do? Yeah.
What do you want to do? Where do you want to eat? No. We're going here. We're going there. Just like, the girl I'm seeing now, she really wants me to come over tonight, after seeing me twice this week. And I'm like, you got to wait till next week. And she says, I know this is a boundary with you, but I really want to see you. And I'm like, you're going to have to wait, like
Make her earn that.
make her earn that. And she hates it and she loves it, whereas, I don't like having to earn things. I don't like that. And I'm like, but you're not asking me to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though, is when you do that kind of stuff, this was something I had to learn with this whole process too, was that when you do that kind of stuff, you're making her get invested. If she's not invested, she's not going to like you.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. Too many guys are chasing these women down and not making them, return the favor a little bit.
The big thing is, one thing I had to get out of, I used to live a very, very private life, private everything, VPNs everywhere. I would always have my phone custom ROMmed on Android, and
greetings, nerd. I did the
XDA.
Same thing.
Yeah, but really all of that stuff, we create social constructs for ourselves, and what it really does is it isolates us. And through my journey, I started becoming much more public in everything that I do, whether it's posting stories, posting pictures publicly, and I stopped being so worried about if the government was going to come out to get me, or if I couldn't carry my gun one day, that something would happen. And I haven't carried in 8 or 9 months. Great to you if you do, but I just I go to New York, DC, Florida, all that. I just plus I wear tighter clothes now. It's much harder to wear baggy, flannel shirts where I can't really hide a gun. So, through that process of becoming more sociable, and there was a big catalyst that happened that produced that, getting out of that what do you call it, survival mentality, being a full-blown prepper. I was able to start the process of being more social with people. And there was a huge calibration end that, I went from like, hi, how are you? And if somebody touched me, I'd jump, and it's like there was a huge process that I had to go through to get there. But yeah, I'll stop there. I said a lot.
No, actually, it's funny that you say all that stuff, man, because I was into a lot of that stuff too. Like I used to watch a lot of InfoWars. I was
into Q.
I was always a prepper, but not necessarily because of like doomsday and all that stuff. Like I lived in California for 15 years, and during that time, there was 2 major fires that completely shut down the city. And when it shut down the city, it like shut down the stores and everything. And so I realized at that point that it pays to have, like a stock of food on hand and stuff like, have to be prepared for basically any type of scenario, not necessarily a specific one, like EMP is going to come, that might happen. And you should prepare for that, but you shouldn't like let that, sort of, ruin your life every day. I used to be so into shows like InfoWars. I used to watch the news every day. Like most people watch sports and
Telegram.
Yeah. And I used to, I finally decided, especially when I really got into like law of attraction stuff and realizing that, focusing on negative shit in the media like that, just, it just doesn't help you at all.
It's a frequency, the more frequency you consume, if I'm, in the middle of my days with Q, when, all this stuff came out, where all that, I won't go too deep into it, but when I was in that deep stuff, I had 4 friends. And, those 4 friends were really deep within me too. And I just had one coworker that was regarded as my friend. And that was my social group for about 4 or 5 years. And, and a really unhealthy father. And, we all got to the point, when Biden got elected, like, we're not really sure what's going to happen. And then that whole thing at the Congress building happened. And we're like, okay, I took a huge step back. And, after that big event that you'll ask me about here in a minute happened, I absolutely I'm like, this does not matter. What matters is me fixing me. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much we consume, how much we look at the news, we are unable, even as a group, able to change it. It requires, much bigger mind power, and I guess you would say just a mind army to change what it is we're trying to change. And I think if we start with ourselves, that ability is much easier down the road.
Yeah. And one thing too, I found was that, a lot of the shit that they put on the news doesn't affect my day-to-day life at all.
Doesn't.
Like,
Mine either.
maybe the gas prices a little bit, but I work from home. So,
Yeah.
it might, I think it impacts other people more than it impacts me, but
Yeah.
it's like, well, I can't do anything about it, man. I have no influence in OPEC. So
Yeah.
why focus
Yeah.
on it, man?
I've got no influence with Twitter or anything like that. I mean, it's fun to hear about it every once in a while, but, I don't even really look at the news anymore. I'm just concentrating on developing myself.
Yeah. And then, you know what? Like, you'll notice that, the stress is gone, your
Yeah.
day-to-day stuff that you worry about.
Yeah.
It's just, it melts away when you realize none of this shit matters.
Mhm.
Why don't I just focus on me, on what makes me happy, and do
Yeah.
those things, and your life is like it definitely changes for the better.
Yeah.
I don't have this written down as a question, but I thought of it at the beginning. So you were this MGTOW guy, and you saw my videos on TikTok. What do you remember what video, or like what made you start watching my videos? Because I get these MGTOW guys in my comments all the time, and they are just, it's almost like they're trying to convince themselves that, the juice isn't worth the squeeze or whatever. So they just like
Right.
shit all over my comments. And it's like, dude, if you were truly MGTOW,
Yeah.
if you were truly going your own way, you wouldn't be shitting in my comments right now. You would be off living your
Yeah.
life, enjoying it,
Yeah.
but you're not. You're here in the comments trying to pull me down with you, and I'm just
Right.
not going to do that. So
Yeah.
I was going to say, what was it about my videos, or was there a specific video that you were like, wait, maybe this guy's on to something? Like, what was the catalyst?
The thing is I had went through a huge breakup. So when all the lockdowns hit, I was actually about to do the whole van life thing, met a pretty girl on Bumble, one match, stuff happened. We were both totally infatuated with each other, and we moved in with each other during the lockdowns. And, what happens when you become complacent, things just don't work out. Women will eventually leave. And she just left and broke up over text. And I went through a year of absolute just rock bottom. Mm-hmm. And, I started looking on TikTok, and I'm like, kind of scrolling through, and the algorithm's noticing that I'm stopping on the dating stuff. So it's going to show me more dating stuff. And then you popped up, and I was just starting the journey. I'm like, I knew I was angry. I wasn't at the point where I was fighting people, but I'm like, I was looking for answers. And I believe that you had showed a video about being elusive with women and not responding right when they text you. So usually, I got to the point where, based on the videos that you were showing, when a girl would text me, and if she waited an hour, I would wait 45 minutes instead of like, like literally waiting at the phone, waiting for her to text me back. And, once you start healing and getting better with that stuff, I've noticed that, when you're really focused on your life purpose, she texted me, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours ago. I still haven't had a chance to look at it yet because I'm on my purpose. But yeah, that was what it took for me to kind of start seeing your content. I was looking for answers.
Got it. That's awesome that you bring up the texting thing, because I talk about it. I talk about that a lot, right? Set a timer.
Yeah.
Set a timer.
Yeah.
That's because I was like that. I was so bad with, and I don't think I've really gotten into this on the podcast before, but dude, I was so bad with texting. The gal that I called the red pill gal, the gal that got me into this space, right? The last long-term girlfriend, right? That chick, I got to the point where I know I was just annoying the shit out of her at the end. I mean, in hindsight, I know it, because I would just sit there and text her all day. Yeah. Hey, I just got done from the gym. Hey, I got, hey, I just, made a sandwich. Hey, this this is tasty. Oh, hey, this is a funny article. And I would do that all day long, and she wouldn't reply back at all. Whereas, early in the relationship, she would reply to me throughout the day. She just stopped, and she would get back to me like later in the day and stuff like that. So like, this is stuff I was realizing in hindsight, and it wasn't until I think I read Atomic Attraction where there's a case study where he's talking about, a guy doing that, just being annoying all day. Hey, just went to the gym and stuff. I was like, Jesus Christ, I was that fucking guy. And I would send a text and literally like start praying that a chick would reply back at one point. This it's pathetic to say now, but I would do that. I would get like anxiety. I get like my heart would be beating. I'd just be like, oh my God. And then when I would hear the ding, I'd be like, oh my God, is that her? And if it wasn't, I was just like, fuck, oh, it's my friend Larry, with
me, I mean, I've got severe ADHD, and just the dopamine levels when somebody texts me back go through the roof. So, that those constant dopamine hits and just me responding gives me more dopamine. So it just becomes a never ending cycle. And not only that, but just, you really touched on a good point there, just got out of the gym, just did this, just did that. It's a huge issue of self-worth, of, people pleasing. And, I mean, I'm still fighting that. I have a great new family now that's adopted me. And I have, I'm still going through stages of like being intimidated by my stepdad, and, like worrying if they're going to abandon me. Like it's an ongoing pattern calibration I have to constantly put through myself to make sure, okay, this is the path that I'm going on. Things are improving. I'm getting better. That anxiety that comes in, it's there. I acknowledge it, but that's not my future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really great that you bring all that stuff up. Yeah, dude, that texting thing was so big. There's still some things though that I'm still working on. Right? I'm like, I'm not perfect, and and anybody out there that says that they're perfect is full of shit. But
I don't need to work on that. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do. And you shouldn't like think that you have it already. Like you like there's all these guys out there that think that, oh, I'm a guru, right? Was it Benny put out the other? I love Benny too. Yeah, right. And I'd be very surprised if Benny watches this, but Benny just put out a thing, and he put it on the 3% Man page, and he put it on his Warriors Quest. He came up with this like sort of like a judo belt chart on where you are with women, and are you a white belt, a blue belt, or whatever, all the way to black belt. And it's like I'd like to say that I'm a black belt, but there's always room for improvement. So I mean, in I don't know if you've ever been in martial arts, but in like karate, there's dans, right? There's like first degree black belt, second degree black. Where are you at? Because I would say I'm probably like maybe a first or second degree, second dan.
With it's cool. It's cool you say that. With Modern Flirting, the company I'm with now, our VIP students, we actually run a belt system. Everybody starts at white belt, and then you can go up to orange belt. And once you hit brown belt, the course as well as the availability of the entire brotherhood is yours for life. As far as no further payment needed. And
is that when the pussy comes rolling in though? I mean, when's the pussy? Let's
yellow.
That's why we're all here.
It's crazy. One of the big things that have helped me working with this company, going down to Fort Lauderdale, is like I get to see what's healthy among healthy people, and I've watched white belts like they take girls home that night, and I'm like, you go, that's awesome. And like me, I'm just learning, okay, it's healthy to touch women in this way. All right, this is what how healthy people look at each other. This is what a woman does when she actually wants you to escalate with her. And through that, for me, I'm a yellow belt, so I have a long way to go.
Okay, all right. you know who else does a belt system? They're going to be on next week. Alpha Activation, who I don't know if you're familiar with Alpha Activation. They're pretty big on Instagram. Luke, brother Luke, is like best friends with the guy that started Alpha Activation, and he and Luke started Alpha Activation together. They had a falling apart. Now they're back together. They have a new product. That's why they're going to be on next week. But they they have some kind of like belt system. And I think that they do it in t-shirts though. So like, there's red t-shirts and black t-shirts. And I think it's all funny,
Yeah.
It's definitely good marketing. Definitely.
It is great marketing.
Well, I mean, honestly, we're going off on a tangent here, but I don't care. I mean, that's where the belt system came from. Like in Taekwondo has like 50 belts, and it's not that I'm exaggerating. It's not that many belts, but they definitely have more belts than say judo. And a lot of karate schools I've learned, because I've been in a lot of like Taekwondo, Kempo, stuff like that all throughout, my life. There's schools that will sort of like use it as a nickel and dime type thing. So I had my daughter in a Taekwondo school, and the way they did it was for kids, you would earn, you were a white belt and you would earn different colored stripe belts. So you would be like a white belt with a yellow stripe and stuff like that until you got up to your black stripe. And then once you got to your black stripe, then they would actually start teaching you something. And then you could actually earn real colored belts. And then they would also add little stripes on the belts, and you're a green belt with like 2 black stripes. That's all just money. That's all money. And that's one of the things that's great about judo or jujitsu rather, is they only have like, I don't know, 5 belts, and it's not a money grab. It's an education system. So no, it's fine. It's all good. I love marketing. I love like how people do that stuff. And it's a great concept too, because it actually gives you a way to feel like you're progressing too.
Right. It instills emotion.
Yeah.
It instills emotion.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I'm not shitting on it. Just so you know. So you mentioned mushrooms helping you out. How have those helped you out?
So in the middle, when I was in the whole Q thing, I had a friend of mine that had experimented with them, and had seen huge impacts with her friends with PTSD. And I mean, I've been through Ritalin, Concerta, Strattera, ADHD medications all through my life, and I've been pretty plant medicine based myself, whether it's supplements, for quite some time, but I started experimenting a little bit there, a little bit there. I started really, really small, and where it's microdosing, and I started working my way up to maybe 1 or 2 grams. And doing that, I started realizing that, okay, I'm accessing something, and this is very serious. And one day, with no preparation, here in my apartment, I decided to take 4 grams with using lemon tech, which doubles the potency. And
I don't know what any of this shit means. What's lemon tech?
Lemon tech is when you put it in lemon and you let it sit and it digests it, makes more psilocybin available to you. And doing so
there's like the acids in it?
Right.
Okay.
It mimics your stomach pretty much, and it doubles the potency. Okay. Doing so, I took pretty much the equivalent of 8 grams, which is more than a heroic dose. And
heroic dose?
Yeah. Okay. So between 1 and 4 is like a pretty serious dose. When you take over 5, that's not like a heroic dose. And when you go beyond that, I mean, you start getting into some dangerous waters. Like ego death is a big one. And I was personally at my wit's end. I was depressed. I was borderline manic. This is during the period where I was working from home, and I had no friends, and I just had hit it rock bottom. And I just said, you know what? Fuck it. And it was the worst experience of my life. And I have to tell you, I nearly jumped off of a 3rd floor balcony, and I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. And I went through the process. The big process with mushrooms, when you take a dose that high, is you have to surrender. Mm-hmm. And, me, I don't surrender very well. And, whatever I was accessing was very mean, was very nasty. And, through that, I begged God to rescue me. And something very big rescued me wherever I was out in space. But, coming out of that, I had a completely clean slate in my personality. I literally had to rebuild everything after that trip. I woke up halfway underwater in my bathtub.
Oh, wow.
And it was 4 hours long. When you do lemon tech, it shortens the trip from 12 to 4 hours. But of course, it doubles the effect, and how much you're getting. And I swore I would never take those things again. So my first big trip was a big mistake.
Okay. It sounds a lot. That sounds a lot like ayahuasca. And I've had some people on that have done ayahuasca. You mentioned ego death.
Yeah.
Morgan May, who at the time of this recording is my guest at the time of this recording. She's been on the podcast like 4 times. She's done like fucking 20 ayahuasca ceremonies or something, trying to unfuck herself. And
wow,
she talks about how that a lot of that is about ego death, and it's supposed to be a good thing. I don't know. What is ego death? Do you know? Can you?
Ego death is a. Let me pull this together. Ego death is when how you see yourself, I am my own person. I have likes, dislikes, where the world starts and I end, is there. When you're on those substances, it removes that. Like you literally become the air beside you. You become the table beside you. It is all fluid. So, the value that you have, that I'm a person and I am, sentient, becomes removed. So, all of your abuse, the childhood abuse that I faced from my dad, it's like, that is nothing compared to how much you're getting bit by a snake over and over again for 4 hours. And pretty much I just have to, it's a literal death that people will go through. And sometimes for me, it was very, very violent. Because I did not take it in a comfortable setting. I'm in an apartment with a bunch of people around me. There's a lot of energies around me. I did not set up my setting properly. I did not have a sitter. And I did not go in with an intention. I just went in and said, fuck it. And that was a huge mistake. And I didn't respect them either. There's a huge respect process that goes into, hey, when you take these, you're into some serious, serious waters. And, don't just take them to mess around. And 2, if you do take any kind of mood stabilizers, SSRIs, don't touch them. I've watched that go downhill very, very fast permanently as well.
Yeah. So I had my running partner, when I was doing marathons, I think this is going to drop in January. When I was doing marathons in 2021, she went and did an ayahuasca ceremony, and they made her basically eat vegan for like 2 or 3 weeks before going down and doing the ceremony, because like you're going to be vomiting, you're going to be doing all this kind of stuff, and you need to sort of have your this sort of internal cleansing done before you do that, so that you're not all like, you can't be on any other kind of drugs, like you said, SSRIs. Can't be on any of that kind of stuff when you go and do that.
That same thing happened to me. Yeah. The vomiting, all of that. I know this got really dark really quick. Let me kind of tell you what happened after that. Within, after that big trip, within about 6 months, I had lost 50 pounds going to the gym almost every day. And, I started bodybuilding. And it was during that period that I found your content, that I started learning about Corey Wayne. And the cool thing about that trip was making big changes to my life, changing habits was like that. There was no internal voice saying, don't do it. There was no struggle. It was just, okay, I'm going to do something. Boom, it's done. And I'm like, whoa, this is neat. And it was about a year of that. So that one trip produced about a year of that kind of change in my life. And, I went through extreme church trauma. I was angry at the church. I was isolated for more than 10 years. I said I would never go back to another church again. And after that trip, that incredible experience that I had being rescued, I'm like, okay, I think I can go back to church now, since that's a social circle that I'm familiar with. I'm not a big drinker. I don't like really going out and partying. But like the church, I can probably do again. And I developed a new friend circle, and I'm like, okay, let's start getting healthy. Let's start interacting with people. And, like anyone else that's been out of society for a long time, it took me a long time to learn, okay, don't say a bunch of dirty jokes when you're with people. Like, you got to relax a little bit. You got to not be so uptight if somebody taps you on the shoulder, and, just from the abuse and stuff that I've gone through in the past, there was a process I had to go through to fix all of that. And it took a couple of years.
Yeah. Going back to the mushroom incident. We'll just refer to it as
that's really the incident.
I had a guy on months ago, Hypnosis for Men, Ryan Christensen. He's really big on hypnosis and stuff like that. And he's done a lot of that kind of stuff too. He's done the microdosing. I think he's done ayahuasca and all that stuff too. Yeah. And he's a big proponent in that kind of thing, because what a lot of guys don't realize is, like our brains, our subconscious brain basically just wants to keep us alive. Yeah. And because of that, it won't let you get outside of your comfort zone to do certain things that need to be done to make your life better. Because your brain's like, hey, you're alive right now. Don't change it. Don't change it. Don't talk to that girl right now, dude. You're
comfortable.
Yeah. And so when you do an experience like that, if you do some kind of, hypnosis, if you do affirmations, you basically reprogram your mind to say like, no, this is okay. This is what you do. This is how you act. This is who you are. And once you can reprogram your mind like that, however you do it, like your life it'll change for the better, exponentially.
I love you touching on hypnosis. I see a great guy out of Frederick. His name is Jedediah Smith. And, through a family friend, they said, we've had a lot of success with hypnosis. And me coming from the Christian side, I'm like, I don't know about that. And
it's not magic, though. That's the thing. A lot of the real Orthodox Christians might be like, that's witchcraft. Like, no,
right. Yeah.
It's mental stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I went through, there's multiple ways of doing that. You get family systems therapy, which has been very, very good with me when, there are areas that people don't grow up in. So if you were abused when you're 16, there's a 16-year-old part of you that hasn't been healed, that is just sitting there, that overreacts. Like I used to watch my father's eyes switch when he used to get angry, and I didn't realize until now, oh, that's an alter, that's a different part of him that is segmented and separated because the brain was trying to protect itself and survive. And healing those parts of me through hypnosis, has been immensely helpful for me, like going out and socially. I used to get to the point where I was there for 4 hours and a switch would flip in me. And I gotta go. I can't do this anymore. And, hypnosis really kind of helped me see that that's a self-worth thing. That's an avenue where, my father said this to me when I was 14, and that's why that's happening. And going back into that situation and, rescuing myself in that. And there's a process that you can go during hypnosis, either a light hypnosis or a deeper hypnosis. And, I've done it for about a year, and it is absolutely been life-changing. It's made, from the money that I've spent, it's tripled the money that I've been able to make getting out of, people pleasing, being able to do sales with people, because you have to believe in your product. Mm-hmm. And, even though it's life-changing, it's been life-changing for me, I have to be able to relay that to people. And, hypnosis has been totally life-changing in that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things that Ryan Christensen said too about hypnosis. Is because I'm a big proponent of affirmations, right?
Yeah.
It's a big part of the whole law of attraction thing.
Yeah.
But what it really is, and you hear like older books like Think and Grow Rich, they don't refer to it
Yeah.
as affirmations, they refer to it as autosuggestion. It's a
Right.
form of self-hypnosis, but it takes a
Mm.
long time.
Yeah.
It takes a
Yeah.
long time. Whereas Ryan says, in a couple of sessions, he can go into your mind and just pull out the thing that's holding you
Yeah.
back, so
See,
it's a much faster process.
yeah, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind talks about, wealth tapes and, like what your parents told you about money when you were a kid and like how that constantly plays over and over in your head, like how you regard rich people.
Yep.
And, if you don't say new wealth tapes, when you get a great situation that's going to absolutely change your life, it's going to make you a lot of money. You could, have a wealth tape playing over, oh, they're going to cheat you. Oh, that's some kind of scheme, and like you have to begin changing that to allow yourself to be open to experiencing that kind of change in your life.
Yeah. Oh man, I was just talking to my housekeeper. I have a housekeeper.
I need a housekeeper.
I'm a snooty bastard. Actually, you know what? Housekeepers, guys, another tangent. Housekeepers are pretty affordable and you should get one because, I have her come every 2 weeks. It's not
Okay.
It's not very much. And she does a deep clean on the house and then I just maintain it. It's worth the money and it's not even that much. But
the great thing about having ADHD and hyperfocus is you'll get to the point where your house gets in such disarray that you get all the dopamine cleaning up the house in about 4 or 5 hours because the girl's coming over.
Yeah. See, I don't have to worry about that because I have a housekeeper and she generally keeps the house clean. So when nurse chick comes over, it's nice,
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
but that's a different topic. So the housekeeper the other day, we were talking about next year. And I was telling her how, I've got this podcast. I'm working with like bigger names in the space now. I'm going to start doing courses and I really want to make this like my full-time gig.
Yeah.
And that's been a goal of mine for like, basically, maybe December of 2020 I was like, I think this could be something.
Yeah.
And so that's my goal. And so I'm focused on it. And I'm like, this is going to happen. And then my housekeeper was like, well, are you sure though, that you want to like leave your day job? Because, that's security. And immediately in my head, I go, that's a self-limiting belief there, lady,
Yes.
And so,
yes.
But I didn't say that to her. I was just like, just let her think
Yeah.
whatever she thinks, but that's how poor people think. And
Right.
that's not where I'm going.
I love that you touched on that as far as job stuff. I think you and I kind of talked about this briefly. I used to work for a company called Visa. Great company. They went through the whole vaccine thing.
Visa,
And,
I've never heard of them. They're a small mom and pop shop. No.
Yeah, small mom and pop shop. Nobody's ever heard of them. But they pushed the vax stuff, and I said no. And
I remember this. This was earlier 2022 because this is 2023 now when this drops. But this was like really early in the year 2022, and you were like, dude, I don't know what to do. They're pushing this vax thing, and you're like, I don't want to do it. And anyway, go on.
Yeah, I didn't. And of course, there are consequences with that. And I'm still actively looking for a position in the IT world, but this sales stuff is really starting to take off. So I got started with sales about a year and a half ago. I work with a guy named Patrick Pine. He runs a call handling for legal services called RCP Legal Solutions. Ring hello now. And what I started doing is I just started learning the business. It took me quite a while to do so, just doing this on the side. And I started finding that I could work with companies that are having sales issues or just, and not only selling for them, but finding huge issues within their business and, resolving those issues. And, a step further, bringing in a guy like, Patrick, who does, funnel work. You've got a lot of guys out there who you can, hey, set up a funnel for me. And, funnels are great, but they have to be tweaked properly. And, that's one big thing Patrick does. We've started getting into the point now where I am, not only joining these companies and helping them with their big issues, but I'm also teaching them how to scale, and I'm learning as well. And it's starting to become very, very profitable, to the point where I'm wondering if I'm not even going to have to keep looking for a job in my 11-year career of IT. And just continue to have the freedom to be able to sit here and not worry about a company that is just down my neck. It's crazy when you get into that stage of just trying to keep your job, and that's your entire life.
There's there's an interesting thing too that I've realized in because I've been working in IT. We've talked about IT. I've been working in IT for going on 18 years now. Yeah. And it's almost like at this point it's like all I've ever known. And so it's a very scary prospect to go, well, what if I do something completely different? You know, like talking about dating and self-help and improving your life on the internet, like making that, is that even possible? Like that is very scary prospect. I would imagine it's very similar when you're working in sales, because a lot of sales is you get a base pay and then a commission. That base pay sometimes is minimum wage.
you start just in commission. And in this field, when you're learning, you don't make money for the first few months. It's, you've got to put a lot of time, effort, and energy in, and you've got to think outside the box. One big area of value that I've been able to bring is, hey, we have this problem. How do we fix it? And be like, oh, I know how to fix that. Let's try this, this, and this. Kaboom. Mm-hmm. Things are exploding positively. And all of that is mindset too. I mean, I could feel really bad one day, not make the 30 calls that I need. 3 guys wouldn't get contacted, struggling, being in MGTOW, and be like, hey man, you need this. I can tell you're really struggling right now with approaching women and having high approach anxiety. Mm-hmm. You've paid for this part of the training. Let's get this scheduled for you. And then I hear they're now part of the program, and I get to meet them in Fort Lauderdale. And it's incredibly fulfilling knowing that, hey, I don't have to let a guy struggle as much as I did. Yeah. Because that MGTOW life is miserable. It's miserable.
Yeah. Another thing too, and I've talked about it on other podcast episodes, but sales by itself. Yeah. When I got out of the Navy, I did door-to-door office supply sales for a little while. Commission only. Commission only. Like literally, law of averages. The door that you don't knock on is the sale that you missed kind of mentality. Yeah. We would do like rah meetings in the morning to get us all pumped up, and everything was juicy, and
be hot.
But you know what? It was a really good life skill to learn how to make sales. And, I've taken it into like every aspect of my life. Job interviews, you're selling yourself, like life is sales. When you're talking to chicks, you're selling yourself,
Yeah. And when you're in sales and then you go start working, in the field of, attracting women, I mean, you can compare and contrast and just drag and drop. I love it. I love it. I had a girl that I was seeing, briefly, and, she says, you kind of give the vibe like you've done this before. Mm-hmm. You're not lack of confidence, like she said it, you're very salesy. And I'm like, yeah, that's I've been trained.
And you love that, don't you? Yeah.
I do. I love it.
No, I mean, but you say that to her. Yeah, and you like it, don't you?
Yeah. The big thing in the past few months that I found out, making a successful, attractive man with yourself is all about self-amusement. It's all about amusing the shit out of yourself and not caring about what other people think. And, like I'll just, in guys that are really in a stage where they're not getting the kind of volume where they feel like they can self-amuse, it's a completely different paradigm.
Yeah, definitely. So we only got like a few minutes left here, and
Okay.
you've mentioned what's the name of the outfit that you work for?
Modern flirting.
Modern flirting. So modern flirting is a big outfit. Like they have some heavy hitters in the date coaching market. I think Jamie Dade, one of their
Jamie
coaches.
Dade, yeah.
Good old Jamie Dade. And I
love her. She is the best. I met her back in June, and I see her every 3 months, and she's a kind-hearted person who loves helping men.
So I stitched one of her videos where she did a video. She did a video on how she says, like, the whole idea of you don't ask a fish to catch a fish. You ask a fisherman, and she's like, that is quite, she goes with her big long nails. She's like, it's quite literally, and this is how she talks, right? This is quite literally the, dumbest idea ever. And so I stitched it and I explained why men shouldn't typically get dating advice from most women. Now, I've watched some of her videos. I don't agree with everything she says. She does put out some decent advice. She doesn't put out the placating, just be yourself bullshit. Like she actually gives you some decent advice on what women respond to. So give her respect there. But yeah, when you told me that you went to one of their events and like they taught you all sorts of like pickup artist type tricks, and I was fascinated by that. You want to tell that story? Yeah.
So, first thing I realized, when I first joined Modern Flirting, I thought they were a pickup artist kind of outfit, because they do market towards that. What I found out after a couple months of being in there is they're really focused on helping guys build sustainable social circles. And in that, you'll find, women, everywhere within those, because Sally knows Becky, who knows Jessica. And, at the end of that, how to navigate your way through them so you can date within those social circles and not blow them up. Like how do you stay not only attractive, man, how do you stay within your purpose? And, how do you facilitate healthy relationships? And within that, Jamie offers like a weekly, female psychology as well as online dating, class that she does within the VIP program. And it's been immensely helpful for me, just having her help on the photos and just with my bio and, even going in there, like, how would you open a conversation with this girl? Because that's guys' biggest problem is once you match with a girl, how can you not ruin it?
That's one of the things I say about dating apps, right? It's your pictures, your bio, and how you open with women. Like that's really what it comes down to. And then how you close, right? Because you got to close on that number and set a definite date. Like that.
Right. Yeah. I've gotten to the point now, and I've even gotten compliments with this. I'll close girls really fast. Like if I'm bantering, right. And then when I text them, I set the date and let it. Get the fuck off the phone.
3% brother.
And, and in contrast, I've got a couple friends that I've given advice to multiple times when they're just like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I'm like, let me see. And I'm just scrolling through the many, and I'm like, this is where you're screwing up. You're a specimen looking of a guy, but you're messing up with this because you're just texting way too much. It's a self-worth and
you're coming across as needy,
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff, a lot of men especially, men are stupid, dude. Like, dude, we are fucking clueless people when it comes to this kind of shit, right? But a lot of the stuff when it comes to texting is subconscious. Women they're not really analyzing, your text bubble size. It's a subconscious thing, but you can see like when your text bubble size is smaller than hers, that your investment level is lower than hers. And that's causing her to chase you a little bit more. And that it's all subconscious.
that was some huge advice from you that I applied. That's like, oh, I need to lessen my my bubble size of sorts.
I learned that from Benny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Benny
Yeah.
Benny Lichtenwalner, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. I tell you, along the lines of the texting aspect, one thing that's just been immensely helpful for me is, when I text girls, I make sure I'm in the right mindset. I make sure that, when I'm texting girls, I'm not texting them for my own self-worth. And, doing that, you just kind of self-amusing and get them out on a date, and I'm to the point now where, the current girl that I'm seeing, I see her once a week. Mm-hmm. And, we text maybe once, twice a week max. And I love that arrangement, where just the amount of work that I was putting into was way outside. I thought that was healthy, putting in all that work and time in, and it's not.
Yeah. Well, one thing too, I will say, so there's this idea of, well, when can I text her all fucking day? Right. It's like, oh, well, once you get into a relationship, you can text them more and stuff like that. And it's like, well, yeah, to an extent. But if you fall back on those habits where you're just texting her all day, like you go from this guy where she thought like you're on your purpose, you're not texting her all the time because you're busy, to a guy that has nothing going on. Like all of a sudden you're not the guy that she fell in love with. Like something changed. So that one thing that I really preach, that once you get into this good habit of texting, right, where you're not texting all the time, you're working on your purpose, you text when you can. You should maintain that throughout the relationship and set that tone. And I've done that with Nurse Chick. Like we don't text all day. She likes good morning texts. So
really,
she will send me a good morning text. I don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not the good morning text guy.
I've gotten complimented. One point I wanted to make before is that, when you text girls, like the big avoidance, where are you from? What do you do for work? What do you like to do?
What's your
what's your favorite? Like that puts girls in this social script of sorts where they're like, oh, like if you had a day to yourself, how would you spend it?
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
that's something provocative. It's an open-ended question. It gets them talking about themselves more, and it's not boring. That's the big thing. Like women, you can be anything.
What'd you do for the week? What'd you do over the weekend? And I kid around with the girl I'm currently seeing. I'm like, oh, we're asking those social script questions again, aren't we? What'd you do today? And she's like, oh, you're right. And then she'll try harder again. So I'm like, I'm constantly teaching her.
You're setting the tone is what you're doing. And that's chicks dig that shit, man. Like guys just don't understand. We are raised with this happy wife, happy girlfriend, keep them happy. You got whatever makes them happy. Bullshit. Yeah. Whatever makes you happy, you bring them along for the ride. You set that fucking tone. You lead that interaction, and chicks are just like, oh, this guy's so amazing. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And I tell you, I am still, working my way up, attracting more and more attractive women. Like when it comes to like the 9s and 10s, I am still very, very nervous. And I am still in a process and in a journey because I still put them on a pedestal, which is one big thing that you mentioned there. Like it's a process, if we number women from 0 to 10, like the 4s and the 5s, the plain Janes, like I'm still getting at that point where I'm starting to attract more and more attractive women. Not to say my current girl isn't attractive, but it's just a pedestal that I've been pulling women off of, seeing them as they're this,
treating all women the same is something that it was a concept that I didn't know until reading Corey's book, how important that is, because we do tend to treat hot chicks differently than we treat fat, ugly chicks. Yeah. But when you treat them all the same, if you treat the hot chick the same way you treat the ugly chick that you have no interest in, like that makes the hot chick more interested because you're not treating her like everyone else.
Yeah. I had to learn how to treat them first. Yeah. From that's one big thing the company taught me is, here's how attractive girls are treated. Here's how you go up to them. Here's how you carry yourself with, and here's how you hold eye contact. I mean, I had a point where I had a really tough time holding eye contact with a woman, and I used YouTube videos to fix it. The girls that just stare at the camera. So I didn't kind of be pulled to look away, that physical attraction, like that the book you were talking about, really helped me, just one little facet of fixing things, get over that.
Do you try to do the left eye thing?
Yes.
Dude, the fucking left eye thing, man.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And like I play around with it too. Like I notice girls will look away more if they're not interested, if you stare at them in their left eye. And like I'll go back to the right, and then I'll slowly move to the left side. And like I even taught my group, one of my social circles that, and they're like, and I'm like, yeah, you can use it to really connect better with people. And but it's a hack. I mean, it is. When you told me that, I'm like, oh my God.
Dude, the left eye thing, it's not just, don't just use it on chicks either. I mean, like you're in sales, use it in sales. It's a rapport building thing. And it's because like the left eye is connected to the right brain. I got into this with, I don't know do you know who Alan Roger Curry is?
No.
Okay. Alan Roger Curry, he's the author of Mode 1. He's the godfather of direct game, right? He just passed away, like literally at the time of this recording, like a couple of days ago, he just passed away. I interviewed him and he explained why that works. Because he talks about it in his books, like talking to a chick's left ear. It's the same concept, but it's because it's connected to the right brain.
Yeah, they teach us, especially when we're yelling at a girl in a club, speak down at their neck, not at their ear, where it's completely overpowering. Like you get little tidbits and stuff like that. Like the big thing though is when you start healing and fixing and working on yourself, a lot of that other stuff comes naturally as you hang around people that are a lot higher caliber than what you're used to.
Yeah. Yeah. And a good thing too about, man, we're going over an hour here, but a good thing too about hanging out with people that are a little bit, better than you at any skill, right? Is that's how you get better. You don't get better hanging out with people that are at your same level. You don't get better hanging out with people below you. You get better hanging out with people that are better than you. Yeah.
I've gotten to the point now where I'm finding the people that I connected really well with before, because I'm getting healthier and they're staying stagnant, I am having a much, much tougher time connecting with them. And I've had to remove some people from my life, remove a lot of people. But I mean, look what I've gained. I went from just my dad, super narcissistic and abusive, to, the 4 conspiracy girls that were also super narcissistic, to, the one, somewhat healthy church group, to now I got 4 different churches, 4 different friend groups. I'm telling people no to hanging out because I am just so overwhelmed. I had 6-7 people take me out to my birthday yesterday, and I'm just like on the verge of tearing up because I not only deserve to be in community, but I'm experiencing what I desire for the first time.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
It is. It's a great problem to have.
All right, I've got one last question for you, and then I want you to be able to tell people where they can contact you for modern flirting. So what does being a 3% man mean to you?
Being a 3% man means finding your purpose, healing your trauma and abuse, and going after your purpose. And in that, you attract the right women in that process.
Dude, I like that. Clear, concise, perfect. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. He didn't ask me that before either. That was as off the cuff as I could get.
Dude, well, if you listen to the earlier episodes, I used to ask that to pretty much everybody because it was all 3% brothers from the 3% man group, and so I don't ask that very much anymore because I don't really have those guys on as much. It's so important, at the end, it's so important to find people around you. Like I got a 3% man group that I found on Reddit a while back, not only your Facebook group, but like, me and my 3%, brother, we talk almost every day and like, here's what's happening. Here's what I'm doing. I relapsed today on, masturbation and pornography, and then, like I'm on a week stretch, man. And, like being able to go back and, just constantly sharpen each other's iron of sorts has been, immensely powerful for me, so you're not doing that to women. Yeah. You don't put that kind of shit on women, put it on your boys. Luke is a good guy for that. I chat with Luke quite frequently. So
Yeah.
I don't talk about his masturbation though. That's on him, but so if people wanted to check out what you guys are doing over at Modern Flirting, what's the best way for them to contact you?
So contacting me, we can leave a link at the bottom of your podcast. It's a 15-minute call with me. You can also head to, modernflirting.com. That's the general consensus. But, if I have, impacted you, I'd love to set up that 15-minute call with you. The big thing is figuring out, what your struggles are, where you're at. It's a conversation. And then, if we find that, hey, the, hands-on mentoring may be needed, or just some training I could Google Drive over to you may be helpful. That at the end of the day is, one thing that, brings me a lot of, a lot of great feeling knowing that I've helped you. And then you can also find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Jimmy Finneyfrock. And, I can be reachable on message on there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll put links to both of those in the description. Jimmy, you're an inspiration, brother.
Thanks, Paul. It's great connecting with you, man.
Yeah, man. We need to do this more often, man.
No doubt. I'm excited for the next time.
Jimmy, thank you so much for joining me, brother. It was a really great conversation. It was a long time coming. I've been wanting to talk to you for quite a long time, but I felt like, when you sent me that text the other day about how you finally broke your 3-year no sex streak, man, I was like, it's time. It's time. My man finally has a success story and we can bring this full circle. So I'm glad that you were able to join me and tell your story today. And man, dude, I'm like really proud of you, man. Dude, you've come so far since when we first connected, and the first time I saw your stuff, you tagged me in a video talking about how, you used to be MGTOW. And I was just like, wow, look at this guy. This guy's following what I'm talking about, reading the books that I'm suggesting, and he's making his life better. This is awesome, man. So I'm glad that we were able to connect, and we absolutely have to do this again sometime soon. All right, guys, I want to give one more shout out to the Patreon. Remember, it's January, so there's only 3 tiers available. The lowest tier is only $10 a month. If you want to get in the beer club credits, which are coming up here in just a few seconds, it's only $10 a month. It's the lowest tier. Tier 1 just supports the show. And then if you guys need more help, maybe you want help with dating apps, or just talking to people in general. I have a guy right now. He's in what's now tier 2. And his big thing was he wants to be able to get out and be more social and find friends, right? Like he's having a hard time just going out and talking to people in general. He's sort of gotten into an antisocial type mode. So I'm just working through him on that. And, all we're doing is, doing simple stuff like going to the coffee shop and approaching 5 people and asking for book recommendations, right? Simple stuff. But it's big. It's a big deal if you don't do it all the time, right? And if you don't have someone sort of holding you accountable and checking in with you once a week saying, hey man, how'd that go? How'd you feel about that? Could you do things better? Most people just won't do it. So if you want help like that, jump on tier 2. It's only $50 a month, and you get unlimited text messaging, voice messaging, and video messaging, right? It's probably one of the most affordable coaching programs out there. And then if you guys really want to dig in, and you want an actual follow-up call and have a one-on-one voice or video call, it's your choice. Get on the premium tier, right? Because then you get all the benefits of tier 2, plus you get either a voice call or a video call. It's up to you. Once a month, and we could follow up on the stuff, see how you're doing. You get up to an hour conversation. Most of those actually go over. I'm not sitting here with a stopwatch going, hey, you got 60 seconds left, pal. I make sure that we answer all your questions in a session. So get on that. It's only $100 a month. Again, it's probably one of the most affordable coaching programs you're ever going to find. So get on that today. Patreon.com/comeonmanpod. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com, and I will send you free stickers. I got some in the bag here like this, but this is what they look like right there. There's 3 of them, and I will send those to you. Postage paid. Don't have to worry about postage. I got you, fam. Just get on the email list. If I ever get banned from a platform like I did with TikTok, I want to be able to email you and say, hey, here's my new account, or follow me on whatever, So please do that. All right, guys, that's all I have this week. Next week is going to be a solo episode. I recorded this because I had originally planned something else. I had the time set aside, and then I had a whole bunch of my guests, everything just sort of fell out from under that. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do an episode on owning your shit. So next week, come on. You guys are really going to get a lot of value out of it. I really put a lot of thought into this episode. It's an hour long, but it's just me. And it's, how to own your shit. Just own your shit, guys. Oh, and it's now January. So please tune in every Wednesday and Friday morning. I'm going to be live streaming. This coming Wednesday, if you're listening on Monday, this coming Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a live stream on New Year's resolutions and how to stay on top of them, and why most people fail at their New Year's resolutions. So tune in on that. That's going to be available on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'm going to start doing those every Wednesday and Friday. If you guys have questions, you can send a super chat and I will answer your questions. Otherwise, I'm pretty much going to be ignoring the chat and just talking about my subject. So tune into that. It's going to be live at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that's 10 a.m. Eastern, I believe. 10 a.m. Eastern and 7 a.m. Pacific. All right, guys, that's all I have this week. We'll catch you next time.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.